Be excellent to each other and party on. We're back for another Legacy League, and we are playing no reserve list Blue-Black Control. This controls the opponent through Thoughtseize, through Force of Will, controls their mana through Back to Basics, controls their graveyard through Nile Spellbomb, and then we just beat them down. It's as simple as that. This is a weenie deck. We've got our 4 Orcish Bowmasters, our 4 Baleful Strix, 3 Mockingbirds that can copy Orcish Bowmasters or Baleful Strix, and we have 3 Barrowgoyfs as kind of our top-end finisher alongside 2 Kaito Bane of Nightmares. So we should be able to pull ahead just in little 2-for-1 interactions. We should be able to remove their threats through our 4 Fatal Pushes and our 2 Shieldred's Edicts. If they ever have Bowmaster Supremacy, we should be able to take it right back with a Mockingbird. I'm very excited about using Mockingbird here. I love it. We're not playing Tamiyo in this deck. This is not a tempo deck at all. It's a pure control deck. We are just trying to establish our lands. We're just using lands as mana. We're not wasting them or doing anything fancy at all. And then we're just trying to put really good creatures out on the board and take over. The sideboard is simple: anti-red and 3 Hydroblasts, anti-combo and 4 additional force effects and force of negation. We've got some anti-tech land stuff. Harbinger of the Seas, very good against lands, very good against greedy 5-color decks. Very, very good against 12 posts. Then we've got a couple engineered explosives if we get up against the Chalice of the Void deck. We've got 2 Disruptor Flutes for combo, and we've got 2 additional Nile Spellbombs. This should be fun, and this is a deck that anybody can pick up, and I think it'll be fairly high skill, and it should be a great way for people to get into Legacy without breaking the bank. I think like $500 or $600 you can get all this. See you in round 1. Round 1, we're up against a likely Cradle Control gamer. We're on the play, which is great. All right, and unfortunately, we don't have a blue source for this hand, but we do have 2 black sources. Yeah, I mean, it sucks. We don't have even a single land that can be fetched to give us. So already our mana base is giving us a little bit of trouble, but I am going to keep this, and I'll just hope that we find an island. Again, we're drawing to tons of islands, but we have plenty of things to do in black in the meantime. I'll play this Verdant Catacombs out first because it's ambiguous, and we're not going to do anything this first turn. Opponent mulls to 6. Uncommon for a Cradle Control player to mulligan, but they have been on Cradle Control as of 4 days ago. Bowmasters has lots of targets in this deck. I'm hopeful that we'll get to hit one. They're going to probably think we're mono black too. That's the benefit of not having a single fetch. Like I guess I could have put a Surveillant in. I probably should have done that. We'll see. We'll see how bad it bites us. All right, they're fetching. Please play a 1 toughness mana dork. That's fine. The moment we find any fetch that gets an island, or an island, we have 3 islands as well. Okay, so we're going to be pinging that, and that'll be our turn. There's no reason to fetch here. All right, there we go. That's our blue source. I think we just hold it, and we just make them think we're mono black, because we're going to definitely be poking this here. And then we can surprise them later. I'm going to main phase this. We'll pass. So we've got kind of a scaling threat in Orcish Bowmasters. Baleful Strix is going to be really good against their deck because it just like trades with any of their attackers, and it gets us a card deeper into our deck. There's Elfish Reclaimer. I would definitely like to push that if the opportunity presented itself. It is possible that they take the block. They're 1 land away from this being a 3/4 though. Okay, they kept. Okay, so options. 1, we can just try to ponder into a Fatal Push. I like that. And then we have the backup plan of just attacking Bowmastering potentially. Yeah, I'm going to do that. And if we find the Fatal Push, then we'll also have the mana to Thoughtseize. And if they don't take the bait on the Bowmasters, I'll probably Thoughtseize as well. We have a decent chance of finding removal here. 6 removable cards in the deck. This doesn't do it. I think we could just double Thoughtseize them. That might be good. Yeah, I actually think that if they're Cradle Control, they're just going to go get a Cradle, but they're not going to have cards to cast with it. I don't want to take this Force. The problem is we don't get a shuffle, and we will eventually draw this Force. I think I'm in any order. I'm going to try to high roll into a put. Back to Basics is quite good against them. Let's go ahead and attack first. See what they do. They do have basic Force in their deck, so I could potentially back to Basics next turn. I just want to get this off the table, though. This card is dangerous for sure. And they're going to know that I have another Bowmaster, so they're not going to bite. Do I want to do anything here before combat? Just do extra damage? I think it's more important to just Thoughtseize them. Okay, they had literally all lands. That's actually really good for us. Yeah. I mean, we took 2 damage and they didn't. We'll see what they draw. Boseiju doesn't do anything against our deck. They can't even target basic lands, I don't think. Yeah, so there's literally no targets on our 75. Oh, wait, they can hit a Baleful Strix. Okay, they're fetching. Does this mean that they drew a spell? Once upon a time. Actually, there is a very good target for Boseiju in our deck. This Back to Basics. So they may hit that. Questing Beast, that's a good card. Okay. I'm just going to take this 3. So Questing Beast, we can't even block it. I'm going to Brainstorm. I want to shuffle away. Yeah, let's just see what we draw here. We drew a lot of lands. So we'll definitely shuffle these lands away. So if we Back to Basics here, they had to play out a land. Yeah, I think that's good. I think that's really good. And then we just do stuff. And then I'm just going to keep attacking. So they may, if they play out a Cradle, they will be able to immediately Boseiju. They're not attacking. That's nice. We didn't want that. I think maybe let's just play it out just in case we need it. I don't think there's any merit in not playing it out here. Draw trigger. All right. That's pretty sweet. So we need to wait until they fetch before we push. We can actually just kill this. If they go to all the trouble getting this out and we just push it, it'll be pretty delicious, huh? I'm just going to go ahead and deploy another one. And then we have fetch plus push. The other option is I could just push this after they Boseiju. They won't have the mana to play out the Questing Druid because they won't have mana during their next turn. But if they do want, I'm almost certain they're just going to do what I just said. Okay. So now they don't have mana up. This dies, but I'm just going to go ahead and push. Okay, then we can go get our last land. We have exactly 6 lands in the deck. So now all the fetches are dead, unfortunately. They did find a land, so now they can do the Questing Beast, unfortunately. It does have lifelink? No, that's one of the things it doesn't have. But the not blockable is a big deal. So we are going to need to find an answer to this. Like a Barrowgoyf would be good. One of our many... I can't block. We're losing the race now. One of our many Mockingbirds would be really good here. Let's go find one. Come on, deck. Kaito does it. Shieldred's Edict does it. I think I'm just going to put back the Bowmaster here. And I want to have the ability to stop them if they force. Or, if they have like a Green Sun Zenith or something. So I'm just going to start by getting rid of this thing. It's terrifying. Okay, now they don't have any mana up. I'm just going to attack with everything. And then I'm going to Kaito one of these birds back. And this should be game, I would imagine. I will go ahead and just 0. I don't want the Bowmasters at this point. I will take the Strix just as something to do next turn. And now we have Force Up. I think we're safe. Like the land thing worked out perfectly. Like we found the card in time. That way I can just stun this and attack through it. Yeah, that's a cool card. But it's not going to be enough. Back to basics again. Let's stun this. And then let's attack for lethal. That was cool. Yeah, and we attacked for exactly lethal too. I didn't do the math. I figured it would be enough. Okay. So against them, Harbinger's quite good because it just disrupts their mana pretty hard. Disruptor Flute can turn off Natural Order. It can also turn off like Elvish Reclaimer and stuff. We're going to be looking at their hand with Thoughtseize, so it does give us kind of a preview of what we should name with this. I'm not sure. In terms of cards that are bad against them, Spellbomb's not atrocious because it can like get rid of their graveyard, but I don't think it's worth playing. We have plenty of artifacts that can end up on our graveyard thanks to Baleful Strix also being an artifact. Yeah, I think Harbinger shutting off some of their utility lands does make it playable because like they showed us the Hydra layer of the Hydra. I would often take out Thoughtseize against aggro decks like theirs, but I decided to leave them in. Okay, this is another, like we have perfect mana. We can get both our colors. No card in our deck requires either double blue or double black. So we can play off of just an island and a swamp. We can do everything. I'm going to keep this. So what we'll do is we'll swamp, and then subsequent, unless they have like a must-kill creature, then we'll push it. By the way, how sick does the art on this look? This is just like pure like expressiveness. Like I don't think they would publish a card like this today because it would be just too weird looking by their standards. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. All right, this is fine. I'm just going to push this. This thing's too powerful to live. Force is a great pickup. They are on 3 cards. We're going to strip one of the best, probably the best card in their deck, in my opinion. It's not necessarily the best card in their deck in this deck, but I think Elvish Reclaimer is just an incredibly pushed Magic card. Hopefully they play a Mana Dork and I can poke it. Endurance, just a tap. Yeah. You are desperate for land. Okay. They get to tap so they can cast their final thing in their hand. Our graveyard, that's another strength of our deck. We don't use our graveyard for anything. I think if I just force this, they have nothing going on and they may just concede. I think it's better to pitch back to basics here because it's a few turns away. Okay, they haven't conceded. Prismatic Vista and Polluted Delta are functionally identical. In this deck, we're going to get an island, draw a card, looking for Kaito, more land. A lot of Ninja's decks just play like 16 land because they're all basic lands, but I still think that's kind of irresponsible. They scoop. All right, see you in round 2. Round 2, we're up against a likely Mystic Forge combo player as of yesterday or 2 days ago. I think this is a snap keep because we got Bowmasters, which makes their deck a little bit awkward, and we have Force as well, and we can even have a second Bowmasters thanks to Mockingbird. So I'll keep this. And I think there's no point in waiting. I'm just going to go get Island, and then I'll get Swamp the subsequent turn for the Bowmaster. Fetches are like a real windfall to a deck like this because like we could just play a bunch of islands and a bunch of swamps like they would do in like a Pauper deck, but we can shuffle pretty easily and sift through our deck thanks to these. So the fetches are basically free. Opponent mulls to 6. This is one of those matchups where I think back to basics will shine if we get a chance to deploy it. Their deck is very fast though, so it may not make it that far. So we're gonna go ahead and Island Ponder. These cards aren't very good. I'm gonna shuffle. I don't really need more than 2 land unless I get Kaito. Kaito may actually be the pitch to force though because he is slow. Urza's Mine. They're playing actual factual Tron. I haven't seen this card in a hot minute. Like by hot minute I mean 25 years. Manifold Key, sure. Not the most explosive starts, which I'm happy to see. Didn't see anything worth forcing there. Mockingbird number 2. So I think Mockingbird is probably going to be the card that we pitch here. I'm just going to pass. We can brainstorm, or we can Bowmasters later. Power Plant. Okay, they're getting closer. I'm just going to Swamp and Bowmaster. Get our clock on the table. If we draw a land, it's Kaito time, and that will be very strong. If we don't draw a land, I might just Mockingbird just to pile up. Because they did mull, and they're like assembling a very slow combo here. Are they going to K-command under Bowmaster? That is fine. They're just drawing a card. That's totally fine. I'm not going to stop that. Yeah, I question that play. But they must be pretty desperate over there. Okay, so options. 1, we can just Mockingbird and pile on. I think that's the play. So they get pinged, and then we hit them for 3. And importantly, this one can fly, so it can fly over spawn tokens and stuff. And then if we draw a land, we've got Kaito on deck. I guess I could have Baleful Strix just to increase the likelihood of drawing it. I actually don't know that we need to. I don't think they have sweepers. So they don't have Metalcraft. So this just taps for 1 colorless right now, but it will tap for a lot soon. There's a Barrowgoyf. That's not particularly helpful. I am going to just continue doing this. So we ping, and then we attack for 5. And they're dead in like 2 turns. Drawing cards is not going to be fun for them. We still have the Force, but that's really our only line of defense. So taking 6 next turn. So deploying Kaito is not necessary. So I'll pitch Kaito now. Baleful Strix is still kind of useful in that it can be like help me deliver the last few points if they have some sort of board sweeper that is uncounterable. Mystic Forge, I will just counter that. Pitching Kaito. They have 4 cards. That would have represented the 3rd land as well. Or the artifact. No, because it most likely would have dug to it. I'm going to go ahead and see if I can ponder into... Well, actually, I could brainstorm. If I brainstorm, I can find another Bowmaster, another Mockingbird, and a land, and that'll end the game. Back to Basics is pretty strong. We can't do it immediately. So I'll put this back, and I'm going to put back... I think I am going to put back to Basics, and then I'll just ponder and maybe find a Thoughtseize after shuffling, or a Force, either of which would be good. There's the Thoughtseize. I think we just Thoughtseize here. Okay, they had the One Ring, which is really good. So we're going to take that, and they won't be able to deploy it. Not that they would be able to tap it, but it would give them an extra turn. And if they Mystic Forge, they're not going to have a lot of mana to use it. They can clear a couple times. They would need an additional mana, though, to do it. Grim Monolith, okay. That does give them the mana they need to forge. They have 4 mana. That's forge, but that's nothing else. Oh, but no, never mind. They have that. Okay. I'm glad I took out the One Ring here, by the way. They may still be able to find it. They do have Metalcraft now, so they have access to 3 mana off Urza's Workshop, so they may be able to find a One Ring in time. Again, they can't tap it, but it does give them protection for a turn. Another Monolith. Mox Opal. Going down to 2. All right, we got it. Scary at the end there. I am happy with my decision to do the ponder into the Thoughtseize, though. I think that was important. So options. I think this is an Engineered Explosives matchup. They have some zeros. Paying 2 mana to blow up like more than one permanent is usually worth it. Harbinger is fine. I think Force Negation comes in here. Almost everything they cast is a creature. We can take out our Fatal Pushes completely. I'll keep the Shieldred's Edicts in because they may have a Glaring Fleshraker and they almost certainly have Karn. I think we could take out some Baleful Strix. I don't think it's going to matter. It's a blue card, but that's it. Orcish Bowmasters actively disrupts them. We could also just take out Kaito. Kaito is a slower. I think I'm going to take out the Kaitos. Leave a comment if you think that that's wrong, but I think Kaito is going to come out in a lot of combo matchups because Baleful Strix pitches, but it also gets us closer, and it's a defensive thing too. And it's more material on the table in case they go for like Karn into Mycosynth Lattice. Let's do this. I'm actually interested in this Harbinger because, yeah, I think we bring this in. I think it'd be a mistake not to. And then I have to ask, okay, how many of these Baleful Strix do we really need? I might actually take out Barrowgoyfs. Barrowgoyf's actually really bad in this matchup. So I think I'm going to take out Barrowgoyf. I'm going to bring in a Kaito. Yeah. And we still have 11 creatures to enable Kaito, and I think that's enough. The reason I'm taking out Barrowgoyf is he's slow and he gets blocked. He's good against Karn constructs, though, but I think we already have that covered with the Baleful Strixes. I'll try that. I could be wrong. Barrowgoyf is really good when your opponent's tapping, 1 mana or 1 land to produce 1 mana. When your opponent's doing stuff like One Ring and stuff, Barrowgoyf gets pretty bad pretty quickly, in my opinion. All right, this is a double Force hand with Harbinger. I think we keep this and we just Island Ponder and try to find subsequent lands. We do have stuff we can do. These Mockingbirds are pretty pathetic, but without anything to copy. Yeah, I don't think we put this away. Just in case they have like some nut draw, we can stop it. Right, they don't. That is relief. So currently I would pitch the Force Negations if you're curious what I would pitch. I would pitch the 2 Mockingbirds. They're blue cards that don't necessarily do anything. Yeah, I'm just going to go get an island here and we're going to ponder. We just need a 3rd land. I think this is great. Do we want Disruptor Flute? I don't think we need it as badly as the Bowmaster. So my instinct is to just take because next turn we can Bowmaster, and then we can just keep copying them with Mockingbird. Whereas Disruptor Flute, yeah, I think it'll be good, but it's situational. So I'll just take the island now so they don't see the Bowmaster if they somehow have a way of looking at my hand. Yeah, and we are necessarily going to have to get a black source next turn, so we are going to have to shuffle. So I couldn't take... I mean, I could wait and just play at the island. Monolith's fine. I'm not going to go after their mana. I'm going to go after their payoff spells. Again, we don't have anything to punish their mana. Like, we don't have any soft permission. It's a very obvious Bowmaster if my opponent's paying attention. Ancient Tomb. The One Ring. Sadly, I do think we force this. So let's pitch one of these Mockingbirds. All right, I am going to go ahead and just play at the Bowmaster here. While I'm here, I just want to see the text on Disruptor Flute, activated abilities, unless they're mana source. So we can't stop Grim Monolith. That's what I was checking. Yeah, so I think I'm happy getting rid of that. We got our clock going. So it's worth noting that this does shut off some of their capabilities, but it's not actually going to reduce their mana very much. It'll reduce their mana production by 1. I still think it's worth doing. Force Negation is a great draw. Now, I guess I'm kind of wondering whether we don't just hold up Force Negation. I'm pretty sure it's correct to do this because if they find their other Urza land, like they go crazy. This is a one-shot, the Grim Monolith. So that's like a one-time burst of mana. So we've got them back down to essentially 3 permanent mana. We could even Mockingbird and copy the Harbinger just to make it harder, like they would need 2 K commands to get out from under it. And I think that's a decent play that I may make next turn. Okay, so our opponent clearly thinks this is important. My instinct is to force here, and then we have Force Negation. We can just hold it up while we beat them down. Yeah, this might be a trap. But Force Negation next turn is not bad. So if they go like, what's it called? Mystic Forge here, or One Ring, either of those would be pretty bad for us. But they are low in life. And as long as she's out, they probably cannot win through Urza Saga, which is probably their main win con, other than the Glaring Fleshraker. Okay, they have 5 mana in the pool. This could be a giant K command to clear it. There's the K command. I can't stop it. They got a bunch of these dudes hanging out. They've got tons of mana now. So we're going to have to really hope that this Force Negation carries some water. I will just keep attacking them. I'm going to play with this land. Well, let's see. There's a world in which I draw a Brainstorm and I need to put a card back and I have like some win con. I don't think it's important for me to play it out. I mean, it does draw me closer to Hardcast Force. All right, I'm just going to attack and pass. This also preserves more mystery, so that it may change how they play. I think it's extremely unlikely that this Force Negation and this Bowmaster can hold the fort. I think we probably lost this game on the back of them having double removal. Ugin, Eye of the Storms. That's so frustrating because it doesn't matter that we're countering it. We are countering it. Yeah, and like, yeah, it still gets the effect. It's a 2-for-1. Come on, creature. Brainstorm. This might be the exact situation I described earlier where Engineered Explosives, not a good card. Is it better than nothing here? I don't think it is. Well, yeah, it's better than land. I'll put these lands back. I'm just going to play this land out. We can't do anything. We'll attack. I think it's extremely unlikely they don't just keep jamming powerful spells every turn. They're down to 6, though. This tomb is hurting them. If they do the giant K command, it may make sense to just blow up their dudes. Okay, they drew yet another K command. They did create a bunch of Eldrazi spawns that I will be able to clear if I so desire. It's just 2. There's the power plant. So now they have the Triumvirate, and they've got tons of mana. Let's fetch. This necessarily gets an island. Oh my goodness, deck. I'm just going to attack and pass. I think we're super dead in the water. Did they keep any? They top both of the cards? Yeah, we can probably safely concede. Okay, they're doing another... Oh, they're just untapping that. That's fine. I mean, I could blow that up. It seems pretty inconsequential. Okay, let's think about this. If we blow that up, it does deny them. So they have 1, 2, 7. They have 9 mana. I don't think it's going to matter, but I don't think this is going to matter later. Like, they're probably going to get Karn. So this is the window to blow it up. I don't know. If they find a key, yeah, it's probably worth just blowing it up. Not a feel-good turn. Not a feel-good play. Okay, 7 mana. We're dealing with the Ugin guy again. Oh, Candelabra. Okay, well that's probably death too. If they haven't yet another K command, they can basically stack their deck for the rest of the game. I'm not gonna beat that. I can't think of a single thing we would draw. They just lock us out of the game with what's it called? Okay, so Brazen Bar or Barrowgoyf again, terrible against those spawn tokens, unfortunately. So I don't think we bring him in. Disruptor Flute, I mean, it stops Karn. It stops a few cards in their deck. I think I'd probably rather have Kaito. Like, I would be, if I got into a situation like the previous one, where I could draw a Kaito, it would be game breaking. Whereas drawing another Disruptor Flute wouldn't have done much. I think Disruptor Flute is almost always going to name Kaito. Or, I'm sorry, Karn. It might name One Ring. This is a back to basics hand, which seems really strong. I don't know that they have any answer to it in their deck. I'm going to keep this. And then, like, everything is riding on us, staying alive long enough to resolve a back to basics. They mull the 6. Yeah, I don't think they have a single answer to back to basics in their deck. 5. We're not really looking for anything, so I'm not going to cast this Ponder. I'm just going to keep it as emergency pitch to force. I imagine when you're trying to get 3 of a 4 of into your hand, the London Mulligan is really important. So we'll play the fetch, pass, tower, manifold key's fine, explosives. And this does answer the key. I think we play it out for 1, and then it's mana efficient to do so. We're not doing anything else here. The other option is we could ponder and potentially Thoughtseize if we like what we saw. I think I'm going to try that. But we have to find a blue card. Otherwise, our force negation is off. So this is bad. This is a blue card, but these cards suck. We can just shuffle the other ones away. So we'll just keep the Baleful Strix. Yeah, it's not the worst. Okay, so now I'm just going to go ahead and get a swamp. I could just go ahead and play out the Engineered Explosive for 1. I don't think it hurts to do so, because we are most likely going to want to use it to blow up this key. Power plant. Come on, tap those things. You know you want to. Yeah, actually, they do have a very good answer to any colored permanent, which is that freaking Ugin, which they'll be able to cast next turn. Super tilting, now that I think about it. So they've got 1, 2. If they have the other card, they just can cast Ugin immediately. Oh, well, a second back to basics is not bad. That's a good follow-up. So what we'll do is we'll force the dude. They'll be tapped out, and then we'll just stick the second back to basics. And then hopefully then we'll never be able to untap those lands again. Okay, they just had the power plant. So these are still tapping for 1. Because this strategy is not very good, in my opinion. Oh, they have freaking... Oh, it's so good. All right, well, that works. Yeah, that works. Well, I'm just going to redeploy. Harbinger actually works too. I think Harbinger's less effective though. So just back to basics again. They can attack us for 2. They are going to need to find green mana again if they want to do what they just did. There's an Ancient Tomb. So this Baleful Strix can just answer that straight up in combat. It's a 2 for 1. So we're not losing the race. We can also just block ping. I think I'm going to go ahead and do both. I'm going to Strix, draw trigger, Shield or Edict. I think we hold that for a Brutal Planeswalker that might be on the horizon. So now we have several options. If they try to cast like a Monolith, then we can just pop this and get rid of that. I'm going to go ahead and just play the Bowmasters. It's mana efficient. Force is a decent draw. So we could just Shield or Edict and then come in for 4 or 3. That does lock in the 2 for 1, but I think it's okay because I do want to start pressing damage. Eventually they will draw enough lands that they can do stuff that they want to do. They may have multiple of these, so I may need to like force a pedal, which would be really humiliating, but maybe necessary. Okay, so they still haven't assembled the Triumvirate. I think I'm going to go ahead and Harbinger next turn. This is a turn where we can just cleanly kill this. I'm just going to let it stay. Because they may have more in their hand. It seems pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and attack first, just in case they have some sort of interaction. I am going to go ahead and play this out. So now these don't untap, and they're only worth 3 mana instead of 4, and potentially 7. All right, opponent doesn't do anything. Now I think it's probably wise to just keep a force negation for the rest of the game. And engineered explosives. We've got double forces. I don't think we can lose from here. They would need a huge burst of mana to be able to cast the Ugin. Let's think about this. What is a card that would be annoying that we don't want them to cast? I think it probably is worth Disruptor floating here. I'm going to name... They don't have colorless mana, so they can't kick command. They just scoop. Yeah, kick them in the lands. See you in round 3. This is going great. All right, we're up against a likely Delver player with our mono basics mana base. This feels good. We've got all our colors. We can Thoughtseize them and take their DRC, which is a worthy target for sure. I'm going to keep. Have we been able to play all 3 games? This has been great. Okay, let's swamp. Thoughtseize them. They are on some sort of strategy. I think Tommy is the right take here. Fatal Push can be a pain later. Yeah, I'm just going to take the Tommy. We don't have an immediate answer to her. Everything else is just like 1-for-1 stuff. Tommy's their card draw engine. I would like to take the Fatal Push. I might take that with the subsequent one. They're going to look at our top card a couple turns in a row. They're going to look at their own top card and see whether they want to shuffle it away. They do shuffle it away. Okay, Ponder. So they've deployed basically their entire hand. Daze, Fatal Push are the only knowns. They're going to draw 2 cards. Okay, now Spellbomb is great. Do I want to just lead with that? I think that's actually fine. And I can just immediately nuke their graveyard. The other option is to Thoughtseize them. I think it's better to do this. Yeah, I don't want them marking us or something like that. And this just, like, they've got 4 types in their yard, so we're doing some serious work here. Yeah, I'll just do it now. I don't think there's any reason to wait. I don't want them to be able to deploy a Merc. Okay, we just drew a land. That's fine. It doesn't matter in this matchup, but it makes their days less useful if we are just each turn making a land drop. So they're on blue-red or black-red. Okay, they're Thoughtseizing us. They're going to take the Barrowgoyf, I would imagine. That's the scariest thing in our deck right now for them. They did have a Tommy. Okay. So we're probably going to Fatal Push and try to find a... I'll probably shuffle away the Thoughtseize just because they are a tempo deck. Actually, I probably will just shuffle away a land. There's no reason not to play the land. I'm definitely playing a land. Back to Basics is quite good. And we found the Fatal Push. So I'm going to just shuffle away a couple lands. This is the least flexible. Yeah, I'll shuffle away that too. Now I'm going to just go ahead and fetch. Yeah, I guess I'll just Fatal Push now. It doesn't matter. You don't give them any turns with Tommy because they start creating clues and it gets pretty ugly. I could Thoughtseize them and then that at least gets the days out of their hand and that's mana efficient. But it might be better to... we don't have a lot of cards is the problem. I don't think that... I think it's better to just make their days never work. There's a Wasteland that won't find a single target in my 75, which is a huge relief. All right, we're going to go ahead and shuffle away this land that they looked at. I will get another swamp. I can get another island with the next one. They draw a card. I would like to lock these lands down. Oh my goodness. Are we ever going to stop drawing lands? Yeah, I think I just Thoughtseize and pass. Like, that's sad. We're drawing so many lands. I put 2 lands back. There's a decent chance they have like a Merc. Yeah, I have to take the Merc here. All right. Their hand is Fatal Push, Daze, Wasteland. Not a great hand. But still, like, they draw like a DRC or something, and we've got a ball game for sure if that happens. Night's Whisper. They tapped out. I hope one of those cards you ripped was a Force or a Second Daze. Actually, I think I'm going to play with the land just to avoid the possibility of a Second Daze. So we're drawing wild here. Come on, something good. Oh my goodness. Deck. I'm playing like 18 freaking lands. Come on. They will be able to, fetch. And they do have a Wasteland in hand. Okay, the Daze. I will pay for it. There's already a 2-for-1. Because then now they can redeploy that land. So Daze did do something there. I'll just hold this for a Brainstorm. I'm not going to play a 6th land. It doesn't functionally serve me at all. Okay, they don't have anything to do. I don't know if they have any basics in their deck. This is great. I'm going to play this. You're welcome to push this. Draw trigger. Kaito. That'll be great next turn. Hopefully they don't have another Thoughtseize for me. They may not push this just because it feels bad to push it. And also it might permanently lock down one of the lands. Do they have a basic? They do not. This is a Merc. That's a Merc. Okay, something that is not a land, please. That's pretty good. Okay, so here's what I think we do. We just copy the Strix. We get a card. They force that. Okay. For some reason, my Baleful Strix is now black. I think I'm just going to fetch now. Yeah, I'll just go to combat. This is going to be a game-winning play here. They do not have the ability to use that Fatal Push in their hand. Island. They scoop. They don't even need to see the Kaito. I should always pretend that I have a Kaito even when I don't, just to see if I get the random scoops. Okay, so now Spell Bomb definitely comes in here. Very good against their Murktide deck. I think Harbinger comes in against their greedy mana base as well. Hydroblast comes in for sure. That's a lot of cards coming in. What do we take out? We're taking out our 4 forces. Barrowgoyf's good here. And it's not clear what to... Oh, yeah. Thoughtseize comes out. That's okay, so we'll bring it back in 1 force. Yeah, I'll bring in a force. This hand has blue mana. It has black mana. It has a back to basics for later. I think it's a keep. It seems like a pretty good hand. Opponent fetches. Probably a Thoughtseize. Ponder. I'll just play it on an island, and I'll pass. Second Underground Sea. There's the Thoughtseize. Do we want to brainstorm? There's a risk. I want to hide these Bowmasters. Look, and if they counter this, it's not that big of a deal. Okay. So I'm going to just hide the Bowmasters. And if they want to take... Actually, I should probably hide a Bowmaster and a Back to Basics, because I did just draw enough mana to be able to cast it. Huh. Actually, I probably just want to hide the Back to Basics and shuffle away one of the Fatal Pushes. Because like what they're representing is not like a Fatal Pushable creature. They'll probably take one of the Bowmasters. They do. They Thoughtseize a second time. Okay, that's fine. Now I'm just going to draw through this Nile Spellbomb here. I could wait until like if they draw and they play, they could immediately get a Merc, which would be annoying. And it'd be a 5/5 or a 6/6. I think it's fine to just have good hygiene and just clean it now. Ponder. Unfortunately, we're not going to be able to check their hand before we go for Back to Basics. They know we hid something. Come on, play something out. Thoughtseize again. Ah, they found it. Okay, so we're going to lose our Back to Basics for sure. What? Hydro. Okay, so they have a Daze. That's how I'm reading that. Okay, I'm just going to play this out, and we're just going to Strix. Do they have a Pyro? They do. Okay, and now I'm just going to Ponder. And I'm just very quickly going through my cards. If I can find a third land, then we can stick this Back to Basics. But now they know we have Back to Basics. These are all action. This isn't the land that we need for Back to Basics, but maybe they kept the Pyro instead of the Daze. And maybe they actually took the Daze out because they saw that I had like tons of basics. So I'm going to take the Force now, just in case I have to force something. I don't actually even know what it would be. I can put Brainstorm on the bottom. No, wait. I'm going to put like this, and then next turn I can cast Back to Basics and I'll have Force protection for it. Yeah, and then if something catastrophic happens this turn, I can Force. They've used 3 of their 4 Thoughtseizes. I don't care about Murktide. I can just kill it with the other card, whatever it's called. Okay, come on. You're going to run out of cards sooner or later. I think everything has been a 1-for-1 exchange so far. There's the Merc. That resolves. I have a Shieldred's Edict. I'll just wait for it. I'm going to tap down their lands here and hope they don't have a Daze. They force. If I force back, then I just Shieldred's Edict next turn and they don't ever untap their lands. I think that's the play. That freaking Ponder was just everything we needed. Now, I don't even know what they can draw. This matchup just feels incredible. Okay. So we'll see what they draw. They play 0 basics in the deck, I think. I'll play this out. Because I want to have a land to be able to shuffle when I find a brainstorm anyway. All right, I'm going to go ahead and Bowmaster. They have a force. That's fine. They pitch a Tommy. Ponder. Let's see if we can find another threat. I think we just Strix. I don't want that Delta. I don't really care about this Shielders Edict. Maybe I just shuffle. I think it's extremely unlikely that the Shielders Edict matters here. I could be completely wrong. But we're about to put a Strix on the table, which just cleanly answers Merc. We're in. Okay, more Fatal Pushes, which will be good if we ever see any of their weenies. They may not be playing any. I haven't seen any. All I've seen is Mercs. All right, Spell Bomb. Let's do it. Just going to go ahead and cycle through it now. We got 4 of them in the deck for a reason. Mockingbird. I'm not going to give them Days Equity. I'm going to just be patient. We got 14 cards in exile. Okay. So this probably gets Pyro, which probably unlocks this. Yep. That's exactly what happened. All right. That's a lot of Fatal Pushes. Let's attack. This is our last turn of not having them be able to do anything really. Go ahead and copy this. It's quite good. Draw trigger. Barrow. It's quite good. We have Days Protected Barrow next turn. Our deck is functioning exactly as I hoped when I built this deck. I was like, okay, this is what I want to be doing. I want to be gumming up the board, and then I want to drop a Hail Mary Barrowgoyf 6-7 at the end with my opponent having like practically no graveyard. All right, there's the DRC. That's fine. I'm going to push it as soon as I get priority. Okay, so they could Merc next turn, but it's not like that big of a deal. So they just been the land there. I could have waited, but I'm pretty sure they would have been that anyway. You're supposed to wait for the trigger to resolve first. It's annoying in paper because people will not announce the trigger. And then like when you're like, oh, I'm going to do that. Oh yeah, let me DRC trigger. Thankfully in MTGO, they have to like it immediately goes on the stack automatically. So you don't have to worry about that. All right. So options. I think we just go ahead and Kaito here instead of barrowing. It does more immediate damage, and it's unstoppable as far as I can tell. Okay. Kaito comes in. I'm going to hit. I'm going to immediately use the 0 ability to draw a card. I definitely don't want either of these. So that was pretty sweet that we didn't have to draw them. Now Spell Bomb. Let's do it. Gonna hit their yard now. I could have waited, but I don't want them to play a big Merc. I mean, I can stun it anyway. It's probably not that big of a deal. But if they had Pyro and Merc, that would do me in maybe. I don't think it would actually do me in. It'd be annoying. There's the Pyro. This kills Kaito. They surveil. Okay. They kept. They've got something good on top of the deck. Okay, so we could Barrow. I'm going to kill this. I could have made a copy of it, actually, with Mockingbird. Maybe that was the play. If Barrowgoyf survives, and I don't know how they get rid of it, then we're in a pretty good position. Like, they need Borrower. Yeah, man, 3-0 with this list. This is great. See you in round 4. All right, we're finally on the draw in round 4. Against an unknown opponent. They usually play Yorion Beanstalk, but they're not on Yorion here. I like the flexibility of the hand. Let's keep. Bowmasters is very strong against those types of strategies that go up the Beanstalk. Fetching with the Tarn. Volk. Channeler. All right, well, I'm going to attempt to push her immediately, I think. I could wait. But, like, if they're going to daze... Thoughtseize doesn't get any better. I don't want to take a bunch of damage from her. I don't want my opponent to get value from her. I'm just gonna go get a swamp and push. If they don't have the interaction, it's really good. They do have the interaction. They fill up their yard, and quite likely nothing we can do about it. But I think this is one of those damned if you do, damned if you don't situations. Being on the draw against Delver. They do have the days, unfortunately. Yeah, I cannot pay for it. This is the strength of Delver. I'm not going to complain. This is why Delver is the way it is. Playing these, 1-drops and playing 4 days is 4 wastelands. Luckily, the wastelands are not going to hit us. We could have just waited a turn, I guess. Maybe that was the play. Now they're very close. If they find a bobble, then they've got a delirious DRC. They've been a force. It's possible they line up a second days and this Bowmaster doesn't hit. Okay, they're coming in for just one. I think we dare to dream here with the Bowmaster. And then we have Strix as a backup next turn. Yeah, I mean, I'm playing directly into Delver's plans, but this is just too juicy of a target. Like, it's too strong if it works. And if they force, it's still a 2-for-1. If they have their second days and their top 11 cards, that's a bummer. Wow, that's huge for us. That's absolutely massive. And we have the Shieldred's Edict as well for the Merc, if they try to Merc here. We can also punish with basics. They don't seem to have a daze in hand. And I'm very confident that they would have forced there. Dark Ritual. Okay, so what the hell are they doing with Dark Ritual in their deck? Is this Doomsday? Oh no, the Phoenix deck. Hooked on a Phoenix. Okay, well luckily we've got like Baleful Strix. And luckily we didn't cast our Thoughtseize, which would have put us even closer to dead. I haven't played against this deck in so long. They are casting their second spell. I think this brings back the Phoenixes. The third spell, rather. All right, so we will ping them. Wait, didn't that trigger? Yeah, it did. Okay. So we'll just Baleful Strix and hope to stay alive. Take a 9, drop it to 8. If they have Bolt in their deck, we're pretty dead. Okay, I'm going to play that instead of the land. Yeah, we have to do this. It's like basically a forced play, in my opinion. Wait, there is an argument for playing this out, and I mean, we're fetching so low to 1, basically, where a needle drop could kill us. But if we find a fatal push, number 2, then we can kill one of these, and we don't take as much damage. I need to play it out before I drop this, just in case they did draw a daze, because they did, you know, just look through their deck. They forced this, the game's over. They've got 3 cards in hand. They have expended immense, you know, resources getting these 3 creatures into play. They had the freaking force. I could have Thoughtseized around this. We're just dead. Brutal. Okay, so we know what we're against. We can definitely exile their graveyard with those triggers. They're extremely vulnerable to Nile Spellbomb. Like I've been telling people left and right, Nile Spellbomb, Nile Spellbomb. This card is so freaking strong, and you're about to see why. Hydroblast also pretty good here. I mean, we could bring in the Harbingers again. Just lock them off their splash colors. EE's too slow. I think Thoughtseize comes out against their... Like, you might be screaming at me, why didn't you Thoughtseize them? Why didn't you Thoughtseize them? You don't want to Thougeize Delver if you can, unless you absolutely cannot avoid it. It's terrible to Thoughtseize them. You're doing 2 damage to yourself. You're taking a card that is almost certainly just like a redundant ability. Had I Thoughtseize there, I actually would have been dead on board, even with the Baleful Strix resolving. So that wasn't an option, unfortunately. Okay, so we're going to bring in these. I think we keep in all our removal. Keep in our lands. This is exactly the same way I boarded against Delver, I think. Yeah, and I think Shieldred's Edict is expensive, but it's probably still worth it. I'm just very excited to have all these Nile Spellbombs against them. All right, so we get to be on the play this time. This hand is slow, but it's good. It's very slow. It doesn't do anything. Like, we could copy their DRC. I think I'm going to keep it, though. Like, Barrowgoyf is really good against them. They may have Thoughtseize in their deck, in which case, you know, they can just play around the basics. Or we'll play a land of a pass. Bulk. Ponder. Okay. I'm always happy to see a Ponder. They may be setting up the combo. There's nothing we can do about that. I'm not going to bring in Force for Buried Alive. I'm not going to play Forces against the... Mostly... Okay, this Hydroblast is quite good. This can at the very least clear one of those annoying Arclight Phoenixes temporarily. They had an extremely strong start last game. I don't expect that to be what this game is like, but it absolutely could happen that way. We can at least kill one of them. Okay, that's the first spell. You got it. Buried Alive. Okay, that's the second spell. Now they just need a cantrip. Yeah, it sucks. The good news is they're going to have a lot of types in the graveyard. So Barrowgoyf will be reasonably large. This is a Brainstorm. That works. So I'll just Hydroblast one of these before combat. And then I'll drop a Barrowgoyf and see if Barrowgoyf can race. They may have a daze for it. Like, we just have to accept that they're a daze wasteland. Maybe not a wasteland deck. Maybe just a daze to protect their combo deck. Okay. And should they cast 3 spells in a row, they get this back. We have lots of answers to these Phoenixes in our deck. I'll get the odd art one. They're all 3 different arts. All right. Okay, now Spell Bomb. Options. We go for the Barrowgoyf. We get dazed or forced and the game's over. We go for the now Spell Bomb. And maybe we get a turn. I think we have to Barrowgoyf and hope they don't have removal. Or stack interaction. If they have either, that's game. Because we're going to take 6. We'll drop down to 7. I'm going to fetch down to 5 to be able to play the Barrowgoyf. I don't think back to basics is good enough because we almost certainly... They could still have the force in the hand. We could go ahead and just spellbomb them to draw, but that actually makes Barrowgoyf weaker. Yeah, I'm going to just try to Barrowgoyf here. And again, in this situation, it looks embarrassing that I took out the forces, but usually you don't want to take out the forces, in my experience. So I'm just going to come to my defense here. I want to acknowledge that, yes, it would be very nice if one of these were a force. Actually, none of these are sideboard cards. Oh, maybe that now Spellbomb was a force, but we're just going to play the Barrowgoyf, and we're going to see if they can remove it or counter it. And if they can, the game's over. They have the days. Good game. Yeah, there's no... Okay, I'll play it out. I've got one more draw. I don't know what I could draw, but if I drew exactly Baleful Strix, that could save me. If they don't have a bolt too. Come on, Baleful Strix. Bowmasters does nothing. We can copy one of these and trade. I guess it's worth a try. These are 3 drops or 4 drops? These are 4 drops. We cannot copy one. We may be able to find a Fatal Push here. But then we wouldn't have... Oh, we could find a Hydroblast. All right. I'm exhausting every possible line that we can take to survive here. I just want to be clear that, like, give up. But I'm not... I'm trying to do the Reed Duke thing. Okay, they probably have a Hydroblast or something in their hand. Yeah, good game. Okay, let's see if we can win the final round. That was rough. But, yeah, like, they had the combo 2 games in a row. Maybe it's correct to keep the forces in. My instinct is, again, like, we definitely should have taken the Thoughtseize out. I think that is correct, but I'm not sure about taking the forces out. All right, 5-2-7 is our opponent. They are an Oops All Spells player as of last week. I'm going to keep this Thoughtseize hand. We do have 2. Thoughtseize is pretty good against them, is all I'm saying. So let's keep it. And we have, like, if they're not on Oops for some reason, this is an exceptional hand. I'm not going to mull a hand just out of fear when I have Thoughtseize. If they have redundant win cons, that sucks. They have 8 win the game cards in their deck. And if they don't have those, then you're great. They're not going to find them. It's extremely unlikely that they just randomly dig to them. So you can't, just trust in statistics and know that sometimes you're going to, not get what you need. Oh, this. Screw this deck. I'm going to say it publicly. This deck is BS. This is not playing Magic. This is letting MTGO, like, F6 and then just letting MTGO cascade for you. So I have zero respect for people who play this deck, frankly. And that is not a tilted take. This deck is a blight. It shouldn't exist. Basically, all it does is it plays out land and just eventually does the Cascade thing. And when it does, the game ends. If they are able to Cascade. We have 0 Thoughtseizes in our deck. Or, I'm sorry, we have 0 Wastelands in our deck. We have to draw back to basics, and even that is not necessarily going to win. Or we can just do massive damage very quickly. Because Bowmasters does massive damage more quickly, I think it is correct to do that. But this Throes of Chaos will hit a Tibalt's Trickery, which will likely hit. So next turn, they win the game, effectively. Do they have red source? This sacks for red. This sacks for red. So they can just ancient... What do they have? Ancient Tomb here? Yeah, they have an Ancient Tomb. So the game's over next turn. Options. We ponder, we try to find another Thoughtseize. Or we find a force. We do have a blue card to pitch a force. I think we need to do that. Back to basics. If they whiff, is not bad. I don't want that now Spellbomb. I'm going to any order shuffle. Come on, deck. We've got 7 hits. That doesn't do it. I think we're dead. So again, the reason why this deck is, like, not chill and, like, all the other, win the game on turn 2 combo decks are fine, in my opinion, is because it's just fundamentally it's not playing Magic. All right, so I'm going to brainstorm. And then we can shuffle away cards that don't matter. Like Bowmasters doesn't really matter. They don't draw cards. It's just a body to attack. Yeah, let's do this. Kaito, again, this stuff is all too slow, unfortunately. I guess I just shuffle and then I Strix and hope to hit a force. Shadow's Edict does nothing. Okay, so I think it's extremely unlikely that we survive any longer. I was actually surprised that they took a turn to play that out. But, because they could have just Ancient Tombed and throws a Chaos. It may not be deterministic, though. If we Kaito next turn, if we survive long enough to Kaito, then that may dig us into a Thoughtseize or a Force. Back to Basics may be okay if they reload. The main thing, that the throws of Chaos, those of Chaos, okay, they are not going off for some reason. I don't understand why. So this Tybalt's Trickery, counter target spell, so they can counter something that we do if they want. I don't know why they would do that. Maybe what they're planning to do is just counter those with the Tybalt's Trickery. Let's see what we can draw. Another Strix doesn't really help us. So I'm going to go ahead and come in. And you may be saying, oh, you could be gaining life with Barrowgoyf and hitting them for more. And yeah, we could. I think what I'm going to do, can this be done at instant speed? No. So we are going to just Kaito here. Okay. And now I'm going to Surveil and I'm going to try to find a force. I don't know that it'll be enough. Thoughtseize is better. There's the Thoughtseize and the force. Unfortunately, I cannot take both because I didn't play the fetch out. I was thinking about this when I was hitting, like, what if I want to keep both? I think what we have to do here is we just have to pitch the force and we have to Thoughtseize and hope that that's good enough because the force is not reliable. I'm going to leave it in my... So I'm going to put this on top. Wait, I have to put this on top first because I do want it in the deck where I can draw it. My opponent's complaining about my deck. Well, dramatic irony, they do not realize that I am complaining about theirs. And I don't think it's a salty contrarian take. I think pretty much every Magic player thinks your deck is a bunch of BS. Okay, so they have Apex Devastator coming, call forth this Tempest. Number of mana. So this is 8 mana. They can do this next turn with the Ancient Tomb. So I think I take this. I'm not sure why they haven't used those of Chaos yet, but I'll take that. And I think I'm just going to pass. And we're just going to keep trying to draw. Because Apex Devastator costs 10. So they could play this out and they could do it next turn with the Ancient Tomb. Because Hickory Woodlot, they will have lots of green. Okay, so they're going for something here. Those are Chaos. We can see how this deck works. You can... I'll, reserve judgment and see how it works yourself. Okay, so this Violent Outburst goes and it triggers Tybalt's Trickery. I think they banned this deck in Modern. I think it might have been a Modern deck at one point. So Tybalt's Trickery targets one of the cards that's on the stack. Doesn't really matter, like the Violent Outburst. And then they get to look at cards that are exiled, I think. And there's the Apex Devastator, and that's the game. Fun. Okay, so Disruptor Flute... I think we just put all our anti-combo stuff in. Disruptor Flute, Hydroblast, Force Negations, Harbingers, all this stuff. Cards that come out, any sort of reasonable, creature interaction that you would ever care to play, because it doesn't matter. They're just not playing on that axis. We can take out these Shielders Edicts. You never remove anything. It doesn't matter. We could probably take out Bowmaster because it just doesn't matter. Bowmaster is not blue. And it's 2 damage a turn. They're never going to draw cards. I don't think we want it. I think the number one goal is just to lock them out from winning. If they get even one Cascade spell on the stack, they either fizzle and lose, or you just die. Okay, so I'll keep that one in. Let's go. And when I was getting into MTGO, like a lot of people, like these random people that have numbers for their accounts, it might be the same guy, was just farming trophies by putting a Cascade spell on the stack, hitting F6, going over to make a sandwich while his opponent had to just sit there, watch all the Cascade triggers. This is not fast enough. I'm going to mulligan this. This is a Thoughtseize Force Hand. We have a Cantrip next turn for Brainstorm. This is double Thoughtseize. I think we keep this. I'm going to put back the Mockingbird. Mockingbird could set up Kaito. Yeah, I'm going to put back a Mockingbird. No, I can't. I can't keep this. I shouldn't keep this. Because if I Thoughtseize, then I don't have a land to go get. I can't brainstorm. Mockingbird is going back. I already capped. Oh, wait, I can't cancel. Wait, can I? No, it won't let me cancel out of keeping this. I already clicked keep. Okay. I am going to put back the Mockingbird, and we're done. And I think what I need to do is just go ahead and Thoughtseize them twice. They get so much time. Maybe it's correct to go ahead and just... I need to dig for a second land, and then I can, Thoughtseize them next turn. They're not going to win turn 1. They win like turn 3, usually. Okay, Sandstone. All right, so we're not fetching because we want to max the chances of drawing a land. We drew a land. That's great for us. So I think I just want to island, and then I can get a swamp after I brainstormed. And then I can put back... our hand's fine, but I might find something better. Okay, second force. So the question is, I guess... Yeah, I don't need this swamp. I will eventually need it. I guess I could just Thoughtseize and redraw the swamp. The problem with Kaito is I don't have any creature to enable him. I'm trying to find a Back to Basics or a Harbinger. That's what I'm trying to find. Because if you lock him out of mana, then it takes him forever to win. And then you have all the time that you need to close. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this on top. I'll redraw it. Then I'm just going to play a swamp and Thoughtseize him. Then I can Thoughtseize next turn and I can ponder. So we're going to take the Violent Outburst. They have tons of land, and they just randomly will draw Cascade spells eventually. If I take Throes of Chaos, it has Retrace, so they can just use it over and over. So this is an opportunity for us to force the Throes of Chaos so they can't keep casting it every turn. But they're only going to be able to cast it one more time, turn off this. Okay, so their hand, they have some Boseiju. Oh yeah, Boseiju actually does stop like our mana interaction. Okay, so Throes of Chaos. I'm just going to let this happen. And then I think I have to stop the Tybalt counter that they find. Okay, they found Violent Outburst, so this cascades too. Now the Tybalt's Trickery, counter target spell. I do need to force this. I'm going to force with Force of Will. It doesn't matter. Taking this out of their deck doesn't matter, I don't think, fundamentally. I'm pretty sure I want to ponder next turn just to try to find another Thoughtseize. But every single land in their deck essentially represents throes of chaos. I don't know why I'm struggling over that word. I think I'm just going to force pitching the Force of Will. Leave a comment with a timestamp if I'm fundamentally misunderstanding what I should do here, but there is a risk. It may not work. It could be that nothing happens. Okay, so this is our window to draw one of those 4 spells that I mentioned that will stop our opponent. Thoughtseize is a good one, but again, it doesn't stop the Throes of Chaos. So I'm going to go ahead and ponder first. Well, I'm going to fetch first just in case I like all the cards. I guess I don't have to fetch this turn. I can just wait. So I'll see. Okay, so I don't need any of these cards. These are not what I'm looking for. Okay, Prismatic Vista is not the card we wanted to find here. I'm going to Thoughtseize them. Trickery, it doesn't even matter. It only does stuff while it's in their deck. And now they can just discard and they can redo what they just did last turn, but it will cost them their Sandstone Needle and one of the lands in their hand. I want to point out that my opponent said this is the most boring, overpowered deck imaginable. Like, really? I'm not even playing freaking fetch land. I'm not even playing dual lands. This is a budget deck. Okay, so this works, and now we see if they found another Throes of Chaos, so they get to re-roll. I don't know if they have any more Tybalt's Trickery. That's all 3 of them. I think they only play 3. So they may just decline the Cascade here. Okay, there's the Violent Outburst. Do they have a 4th one? Sometimes they don't have all 4. You can see, MTGO is going crazy over here. Okay, so they do only have 3. Okay, so now I think they can only win through Creative Technique. They don't have a lot of mana. All right, let's see what we draw here. This is our window to maybe do something. Okay, that's a great card. And I think I'm going to just jam it. I'm trying to think of anything they could have. I can't think of anything. MTGO is swimming in molasses here. I should have held that land. There was no reason. Well, yeah, actually, I'm going to fetch the swamp here because I might need double black for some reason. Now we're just going to gradually beat them down with this. They may have some sort of removal spell for it. I don't know. They're going to need to get a lot of red mana online. I'm not sure how they do that. It could be that they have like, I mean, we can look at their entire list. I'm just not sure what they do to win here. I'm going to go ahead and do this now. Okay, this is a force. It seems good. I'll just draw into it, and then I'll use it next turn. They still have some sort of game, like some sort of, I guess I could look through their list and see if they have some sort of card that removes stuff for blue mana. I don't think they play any basics. Next turn, we do have Hardcast Force up. Okay, there's a forest. So they may have a basic mountain in their deck, which would enable creative technique. There's a brainstorm. I'm just going to hold it. I'll do it in step. I just want to make sure I can hardcast a force if I need to. Because they're going to just go after this creature. I'm about to get a land, so I'll just go ahead and brainstorm here. No, I'll just let this happen. Sure. Let's get another swamp since we have lots of islands. Attack. Okay, so they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Apex Devastator is double green. I doubt they have that. I'll just pass. I can play this in the instep if they don't give me anything to force. They're still like 3 turns from death, maybe. Actually, they're 2 turns from death now. Assuming they don't have anything that I don't know that they would have. Okay, they're 4. All right, we ripped a Hydroblast, which is just further insulation. All right. They're dead. Game 3. Again, I don't think this is a good matchup for us. I think if we had Wastelands and I think Beanstalk is a good matchup for this, for example. But I'm going to do my best. Whatever happens, happens. Final game of the league. Our opponent's keeping. I cannot keep. We need interaction. This is fine. It's not exceptional, but like back to basics will be good. I'm going to put back Barrowgoyf just because I want to essentially ensure that we curve. And they do have like a lot of Bitsejus in their deck, and that's just something we have to live with. Like they may be able to Bitseju us. Also, them being on the play, this is going to be really late to the party. Thoughtseize is a phenomenal draw. Okay, Violent Outburst is the most immediate thing they can do. What does this do? Urtal, the exile a non-land card. You may cast any number of spells from among the non-land cards exiled this way. Until? Oh, so they can cast our spells as well. That's 7 mana. I think we just go for the Violent Outburst. That's the quick kill. We pass. Again, like, we're basically going to have to count on them whiffing, and then Back to Basics does this thing. Hopefully they play another tap land, so at least we tap down 1 land with Back to Basics when we do it. Okay, that's something I can cast. I'm going to do it. Just dig deeper into my deck, get something on the table. Maybe they make the mistake of... oh, that's great. So in absolute desperation mode, we can stop this. Call Force. That's a sorcery. That's a creature. It costs 7 mana. This Dwarf Fortress is going to come out tapped, so we'll lock that down. This does not enter tapped, so they'll have 6. They won't have enough mana. I don't think. They'll need another land. They may have already drawn the land. That's a good draw. I'm just going to attack first because they hit this last time. I'm not going to Kaito here. It's tempting, but I really do need to lock down the land. I know that feels like terrible. And Kaito is screaming, like, put me in, coach. I'm ready to play. This does add green, so they can just tap this and hit it. All right, we're in. Double force up with Back to Basics. All right, show me your moves. Their hand is played out. Next turn... They need another land, and like half their lands come into play tapped. I think I do want to just bring this back to hand and get Kaito cooking. And I think, do we want to just start plussing Kaito so we can get them dead? Let's do the math here. So it's 3, so 19. So 3 plus 4, 7 plus 5, 13 plus 6, 19. I think that's correct to just keep plussing him. Let me make sure I'm reading this correctly. This call for it deals damage to each creature an opponent controls. Okay, so we don't own any creatures there. This exiles cards. Okay, so we're going to stop that. Okay. The question is, do we play out the land? And I think we do. So I'll just plus. And yeah, we're going to just plus and attack several turns in a row. They may have something that can interact with him. Hopefully they don't have Ancient Tomb. Then I have to force this. Enters. He has to actually enter. Okay, that is non-ETB land. Thoughtseize. It's great. I'm going to go ahead and Thoughtseize now. Okay. So, Throes of Chaos can be cast. Again, I'm not sure why they haven't cast it yet. Tibalt's Trickery can be cast during my turn. I'm not sure what to take. My instinct is to take Throes of Chaos. Let's see, they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They're 1 mana away from casting this card. They're 2 from this. I think I take this. And then I'm just not going to cast any spells for the rest of the game. I may actually kill them faster than I thought because I forgot I can do it before combat. They're going to take 5 here. So next turn they're going to take 6. So playing the Strix doesn't boost my... it doesn't speed things up. This call, Forth the Storm, cascades twice. Yeah, I should have stopped that. That was a punt. Yeah, they can cascade twice. I definitely should have stopped that. I might lose the game because I didn't... I mean, I can double force... I can force whatever comes out, but if they find Creative Technique, that itself takes 2 forces. I think I do want to just fetch, just to thin the deck. My life total doesn't matter here. Let's attack. Oh, that's a great draw. This is a sorcery. Okay, yeah, I can attack. I do want to ponder here, but at the same time, I am kind of worried that if they Tybalt... No, it targets me, so they don't get the benefit. Yeah, I'm going to ponder here. Okay, let's see if we can find the Thoughtseize. Another Force Negation is not bad. Oh, we tapped out of Hardcast Force Negation. I guess I could take the Force Negation, then I just draw, get another card in my hand. Yeah, I'll take the Force. Now we'll have triple Force up because I'm going to use his ability to get a card. So I don't want this other Kaito. So I'll just bin him. Then I'll take this. Okay, so we have triple Force up. And they're dead next turn. I think we win. But something crazy could happen. Okay, they're making a move. If they can remove this, it actually does a lot of damage to us. Okay, so this happens. They can Trickery. They can Trickery again after this. So I am going to go ahead and force this. Okay, so this is the other one. Now we just force this. And I'm going to force pitching my Force Negation just in case I have to play a Baleful Strix and get the last damage somehow through that. They said, lol. Like, dude, you've been doing nothing for the last 6 or 7 turns. I've just been sculpting. Have fun in your 30% UB format. My opponent is merely upset. And I think they misunderstand what the format's all about. Maybe they misunderstand what Magic's all about. But they may be a totally chill person who's just trying to blow off some steam after work. So that was an uncalled for ad hominem. Okay, so let's take a look at the list. First of all, the list felt great. I loved it. I absolutely loved it. I think we want to surveil land. And this does not break the constraint of not being a no reserve list. Here we go. And there were lots of situations where, of course, we would have benefited from being able to surveil. There were also lots of situations where we did actually need to be able to get a blue land with a black fetch. And so this just makes this a little easier. So I took out one of the black fetches. So now we have 10 fetches that can get blue, and we have 9 fetches that can get black. And I think that's pretty good considering that often we're going to need to ponder turn 1. But I wanted to split it up because a lot of times Thoughtseize is the real card you need to drop turn 1. But I mean, this list just felt great. I did not expect to be able to beat Mississippi River, Creative Technique, whatever the heck you want to call that abomination. But I feel great that we did. And the Mockingbirds were pretty good the entire time. Like, they were mainly just pitched to force. There was an instance where I could have copied my opponent's DRC, which would have been a strong play. I missed that play. But I think it was a good play. They could, the floor is, it's a 1/1 flyer that gives you something that ninjutsu back to your hand with Kaito. The ceiling is you're copying a Bowmaster when your opponent has the Bowmaster and you don't have a Bowmaster, and you're getting out from under the Bowmaster lock. I think not playing Days is totally fine. We played against some combo decks and we still did okay. Just on the back of Thoughtseize. And the double Shield Edict felt great. I like having this much removal. This is a control deck. People are always like, Days, Wasteland isn't a control deck or whatever. Okay, I'm playing a real control deck here, and I'm winning, and I hope that shows some of my range. as a player. Like I consider myself primarily a tempo player who can play some control as well. And this is a pure like, James Kisao style Grixis control deck. It's just that we shaved all the mediocre red cards, and now we can play like he's playing a ton of basics. He's probably playing 6 basics in his list too. But I think like just have the simplicity of having everything be exactly 1 pip of one of your 2 colors means your mana is almost always going to be perfect, assuming you find it. And it also means that you just don't have to worry about Wasteland. Technically, we did turn on Wasteland by adding this to our deck, but a lot of the games I'm probably never going to fetch this, especially if I am planning on backing to basics. And the fact that back to basics can hit 1 land in your entire deck, I don't think is too much to synergy. Let's talk about the sideboard. Engineered Explosives did come in the Karnforge matchup. Disruptor Flute was pretty good in the One Ring matchup. Like, I think 4 Nile Spellbombs, I hope you'll agree that they were really strong. Our only loss was to a very explosive combo deck that's also a tempo deck. And I think that tells you a lot about the deck that, like, I think if we were to play against that deck 100 times, we'd probably win 50 of those matches, especially with practice. I don't have a lot of practice against that deck, and I think it was probably an error not to bring in or not to leave the Force of Wills in. I think I should have kept at least 3 of them in. So if I had to reboard against that deck, I'd probably keep maybe all 4 forces. I don't know. It feels bad, but I would definitely take out the Thoughtseize, and I'd just bring in the 2 Nile Spellbombs, the 3 Hydroblasts, and then I'd probably take out like a Shielder's Edict. Yeah, I'd probably do it like that, and maybe not bring in the Harbingers. I think they're probably too slow. So that's where I'll leave it. This list was a lot of fun. I'd like to play it again. I want to encourage you to consider building this list if you have the cards and trying it out for yourself, because there is something beautiful about just playing Legacy like you're playing Pauper, essentially, where you don't have all the fancy tricks, where you got this very basic mana base. I don't know. A lot of people might say this is a fancy deck. I mean, it has Kaito, right? It's got tons of value creatures and stuff like that. But this is a very simple deck. It's interaction, it's removal, and it's cantrips to fix in a little bit of hate in the form of back to basics and Nile Spellbomb. So this is precisely the kind of list I'd like to play more. I think 18 lands is the perfect number. I think going down to 17 is greedy. And there were games where I was so grateful that we were playing 18. There were also games where we got completely flooded. But again, we're playing Brainstorm and Ponder for a reason, so that we can mitigate that late game flood. As I always say, Brainstorm, you want to keep it. And the longer the game goes on, the better the Brainstorm gets generally, unless you're looking at a bunch of Bowmasters, in which case, if you think you're in a Bowmaster mirror, maybe cast it more aggressively. But this deck will win the Bowmasters mirrors, because again, we functionally have 7 Bowmasters. I love that. So the deck performed basically like flying colors in terms of like how I hoped it would perform when I was theory crafting it earlier today. I've been playing a bunch of leagues just that I'm not even going to upload, with just like different experiments on token decks, like Jeskai tokens. My current prognosis for Legacy is you don't want to be in white, you want to be in black. And the reasons you want to be in black are very simple. Thoughtseize and Orcish Bowmasters. These cards are extremely strong right now. And if you're playing like Jeskai or something and you don't have access to these, that's a huge impediment to being able to win, in my humble opinion. So I hope you enjoyed this league as much as I did. Until next time, be excellent to each other and party on.